Nova's -4.5 in their Final Four matchup with Kansas. Totals at 155 flat. Currently, the Wildcats of Villanova are the $2.30 favorites for some moneyline cash. And at the moment, the 70% of the betting public is actually leaning toward the Jayhawks of Kansas to get the job done against the number. And speaking of Kansas, if you find yourself backing the Jayhawks in this matchup here, you're going to need all the help you can get. These guys have failed to cover in 2 of their last 3. Billy Self's boys are also a little lackadaisical after long rest. The Jayhawks have covered just 10 of 21 matchups after 4 or more days of rest. They're going up against a Villanova ball club who's amongst the hottest covering teams in the Final Four right now. The Wildcats are an impressive 4-0 covering in the tourney. The Wildcats are also 7-1 covering the spread in their last 8 ball games. Now, total-wise, 2-1 to the under in Nova's last 3. Under bettors really pounding the total in their last couple of contests. Meanwhile, though, on the other side, we're actually seeing a completely different story as these Kansas games have been jam-packed with scoring and close calls. Furthermore, Kansas games went 3-0 to the over in their last 3 on their side of things. So with all those contradictory factors in mind, I'm certainly going to fade a play on the total in this matchup here. But what I won't fade is a play on the number. I'm really feeling this Nova team who's covering just about 80% of their ball games versus teams over 650. Just absolute covering machines against top-tier programs. So all told, I'm going to purchase the hook, slide it down, and take the Villanova Wildcats -4, getting the job done against the number. All right, I'm going to slide in my next game for the show. It's the other one in the Final Four. I'm talking about Loyola Chicago taking on Michigan. 6:09 Eastern tip-off at the Alamodome. The Wolverines of Michigan opened the betting as the 6-point favorites and the total at 128.5. And since those markets opened this one up, we're actually seeing a significant fade of the Wolverines in this matchup here. Right now, Michigan's laying just 4.5 against the number, with the total moving slightly upward to 129 flat. Currently, Michigan's the $2.40 favorites for some moneyline cash, down from $2.40, a 5-cent move downward in favor of the Ramblers. And at the moment, 64% of the betting public is leaning towards Sister Jean and the Loyola Chicago Ramblers to get the job done against the spread. And speaking of the Ramblers, pretty tall task ahead of them as they're taking on a Michigan squad who's been a pretty good covering team here down the stretch. 9-3 ATS in their last 12. The Wolverines have also not smelled or tasted defeat since all the way back in the beginning of February. These guys are on a red-hot 13-game win streak. Good time to get hot at the end of the year. Now, scoring-wise, under bettors have really been pounding the totals amongst both of these squads here in the tourney. Both programs went 3-1 to the under in their last 4 games, respectively. But keeping that in mind, we have seen some early movement upward on the line. So I'm really not sure who's driving that number upward, whether it's the squares or the sharp guys. I have absolutely no clue. So as far as the total goes, I'm certainly going to fade a play on it in this spot here. But what I won't fade is this red-hot Michigan ball club who's covering nearly 80% of their games versus teams allowing less than 67 points per contest. So with all that said and done, I'm going to purchase the hook, slide it down, and take the Michigan Wolverines -4, getting the job done against the spread.